So good afternoon to everybody in North Norfolk. Thank you very much to those of you who have sent questions in for this week's question and answer session. Quite a lot of the questions we've received relate to other bodies, so to government process or to county council. I will attempt to answer all your questions, but when they relate to other bodies, I will refer to them as well. So, the first question we've got comes from a gentleman asking about why the Holkham Estate is blocking easy access to the public beaches. The beach at Holkham is actually owned by the Holkham Estate, and they also own the access road down to the beach, the long drive that people will be aware of. So really that is a question for them. They are entirely within their rights at the moment to close that beach if they so wish. So the next question is from a gentleman who'd like to know why NNDC has kept its public toilets closed. There's a lot of reasons for this. The first reason being that at the very start of this period, NNDC received quite a lot of vandalism in its toilets, with people kicking soap dispensers and toilet roll holders off the walls and doing quite a lot of damage to our buildings. At that time, then the government also shut and asked people to stay home. So it seemed appropriate to us at that time to close all the facilities because people would be near to home and could go and use their facilities at home. We have been reviewing this situation on a daily basis. Every day we look at the car parks and we look at the public conveniences. And I am pleased to be able to tell you that you may have read in the press in the last 24 hours that we are now opening 9 of our toilet blocks across North Norfolk. It's been an incredibly difficult decision, not least because a lot of our residents would prefer that we kept things shut at this time. But we have also to react to the public health situation that has been caused by some people with antisocial behaviour. And therefore we've opened these toilet blocks to give people the opportunity to use the facilities along the coast. So 9 blocks opening along the coast. Each block, we have 39 in total, and the other 30 will all have signs on them telling them where the next block is. This gentleman's asked in particular about West Runton, and I'm pleased to tell him that West Runton will be opening as part of this scheme, as it's between Cromer and Sheringham, and we need a facility open on that walk because I know it's a walk that people like to do. So hopefully that will help with the situation you're facing there. So the next question is from a lady who wants to know why estate agents can go around people's homes, but she can't visit her family. And I think, that is a really valid question at the current time, but sadly not one I can answer particularly well, as that's due to government guidelines. What I can say is that I am aware that a lot of companies locally have been using virtual tours and using technology to help them show people around homes and places to let. And so I'm hoping that the majority of people will be using social distancing measures as much as possible during this very difficult time. It's a good question and I wish I could give you a stronger answer. Hello, so this next one is from a lady in North Walsham, and she's asking me about children returning to school. She says she doesn't fully understand all the rules, they don't fully understand all the rules, and what are my thoughts? And I think it's a really difficult one because there are needs for children to get back to school and there are needs for parents to be able to work from home. But those groups are very small and they want to play together, they need to learn their social skills, and that's mainly what they're doing at that age. So it's very, very hard for them to be told that they have to keep apart. And I've heard one member of the team here say his wife is a teacher, and she says children at that age want to lick each other, which is clearly not social distancing. So we really, really need to support the teachers in this, and we'll be doing everything we can to help them with these bubbles that they're creating to keep children safe. But I think, for me, I would have rather seen the children in year 6 actually going back so that they can prepare for the big changes that are about to happen in their lives as they go from one school to a new school. and the changes in the way the education will work for them. That very last few weeks is a very critical time for them, and I think it's going to be a very difficult time for them, having now been off school for so long. So that would have been my preference, but again, we have to stick with the government guidelines, and so I just wish teachers and teaching assistants all the best as they prepare for that, and if we can do anything, to let us know. So the next question comes from a gentleman who moved to North Norfolk on the day of lockdown. Welcome. He says he's desperate for a brown garden waste bin, and is there any date when he could order and pay for one, please? And I think there are an awful lot of people out there, particularly those who have found a new love of their gardens during this period, who would love a garden bin. This is a question for the District Council, and I'm afraid I don't have an answer for you right now, but it is a matter that I will take up with the environmental health team here at NNDC, who are responsible, and try and find out for you. I'll send you an answer direct by email, because I've got your email address, and I'll update all North Norfolk residents on my next weekly update. Thanks. So the next question comes from a gentleman in Cromer who'd like to know when we will be refunding every household their council tax payments, bearing in mind we're in unprecedented times and our facilities are closed. The truth of the matter is we will not be refunding anyone their council tax, I'm afraid. Whilst it might appear to you that a lot of our facilities are closed, we're actually providing extra services for our residents at this time. So, for example, if I tell you that out of every £1 you pay us in council tax, we actually keep 8p here at North Norfolk. And for that, at the current time, we have been continuing with our bins. We are one of the only authorities in the UK that has been able to maintain our bin collection service throughout. And again, a thank you to our teams for that service that they've been maintaining. We have had a lot of our officers who would have otherwise not been as busy in the office, out providing support in our local communities through our help hubs, making sure our most vulnerable residents have had their prescriptions collected and delivered, that they haven't gone without food when some of them haven't been supported by their Boris boxes or other facilities. So we've been making sure we've been looking after all those people. We've been running a helpline through extra hours, which we continue to operate at this time. And on top of that, we're now starting to open up some of those other services that have been closed, like our public conveniences. But all of those and the car parks in town, so if you live in Cromer, you'll be aware that 2 of our car parks in Cromer have been open throughout this crisis to allow people to park there to go and shop in the town for food. It's only our coastal car parks that have been closed. And actually having those closed causes us to lose money. But we've been doing it because local residents have been asking us to. So it's a very fine balance. It's very difficult. And I do appreciate what you're saying. I do understand a lot of people are facing financial hardship at the moment. But we will work with residents, and we do have a hardship fund here. So if you have got a particular problem, please get in touch with the council, and the team here will do their very best to help you. Thank you. So the next lady has written 2 questions to us. The first one is regarding a toilet block near Ludden Bridge. And she's brought to our attention that sadly there is some antisocial behaviour going on there. We weren't aware of this beforehand, so we will look into this. As I said earlier, we are talking to our local community groups about where we need to open toilets and car parks, and we'll continue to do that. So I will talk to your local community group and find out exactly what their experience is in this location and see what can be done. And I will come back to you on your private email with a fuller answer. But that's the situation at the moment. The nearest open toilets, or toilets that will be open from 9 o'clock on Friday morning this week, ahead of the bank holiday weekend, will be at Houghton. So that will be the next nearest toilets to you. All the toilets we are opening this weekend, we are opening strategically, specifically to cater for visitors. Thank you. So So in answer to your second question, you say your husband is classed as extremely clinically vulnerable. And with the easing of the restrictions, where does that leave you? I completely understand this. I have personal relatives of my own who are in this category. And it is concerning and extremely worrying for all people in that category at this time. That's why we are lifting these measures in a very, very restrained way. Because public safety and health of the North Norfolk residents has to be our number one consideration. Should we shield till June? It will depend on the guidance you have received in your letter from either Public Health England or your local GP or from the government. But if you are in that extremely clinically vulnerable group, I would make sure that you are abiding by the guidance that you are given from those bodies. If you haven't been given that guidance by a particular body, please come back to us and we will make sure that we put you in touch with somebody who can advise you better on your specific case. Thank you. So the next question comes from a gentleman in Holt who's asked us how many current cases of COVID-19 there are in North Norfolk, and are we putting any testing measures into place to trace these? The answer is that I cannot give you a direct number for the number of cases in North Norfolk on a daily basis. I'm afraid that is information held by the health teams, which don't come under the District Council. And the information that provided to us centrally is protected information. What I can tell you is that working with the Army, we've enabled them to come into North Norfolk and deliver testing 4 days a week, 2 days a week in Cromer, in the Meadows car park, and 2 days a week in the Highfields car park in Fakenham. And the testing facilities there undertake about 200 tests per day. They get back to residents relatively, or the people they've been testing, relatively quickly with the answers, and allow them to continue their work within the community. So very often those are people that are working in care homes or are other key workers in our community. So I'd like to thank the Army for coming and doing that work for us. It's not for us directly, but for our community. It's really appreciated. We haven't yet been given the facilities to do the tracing of people whose contacts they've been made. A lot because people are uncomfortable with downloading the app that has been talked about having on people's phones so that they can see who they've been near. But as and when that availability comes to us, we will of course do anything we can to help protect local residents. One thing, for example, I can tell you that we're looking at doing is when we open our offices back up here in Cromer, we're looking at having a thermometer available for people to check their temperatures before coming into the building. Whilst I appreciate that's not the only symptom, every measure we can take to help protect our staff and to protect our residents, we will take. And so that's why we're looking at that. So it's not exactly the question you asked, but hopefully it's given you a wider background of what we're doing at the moment. So the last question that I have today comes from a lady in Sheringham, and it's relating to her not being classed as self-employed. And this is relating to the way she manages her business with the types of properties and the type of work she does within our tourism industry. All I can say to you is I'm really sorry, but these are government regulations. They're not regulations that we have put in place, and we don't administer these either. So I can't say, well, we can look and see if this works or that works. But these are administered by HMRC. So I would advise you or your accountant to get in touch with them and ask them to see what can be done to try and assist you. We are also in the process of, at the moment, of looking at what grant aid we can give to people under a discretionary scheme that the government has announced, and details of that will be published week commencing the 1st of June. So if you are a small business that has suffered some kind of loss during this period, please do let us know and we can put you on our list of businesses that we're gathering who we can see if we can support with that grant. Thanks. So once again, thank you to everybody that sent in questions for this week's question and answer session. I hope it's been useful and informative for you. By all means, if you have a question, please write to the PAs here at NNDC, who will make sure that I get back to you. And keep well, keep safe, enjoy the sunshine, but please act responsibly, social distance, and look forward to speaking to you again next week. Goodbye for now.